Extra bases with Bristol and Booth. We're on a schedule now, and there's news, Jeremy. There is news.
What we got?
You actually alerted me to this.
Oh,
That Pete Alonso
yeah.
reportedly agrees to a 2-year deal with an opt-out after 2025, which means now that Pete Alonso is going back to the Mets, that obviously makes Alex Bregman the highest profile free agent available. Because this domino has fallen, does that mean Bregman should or could be done in the next few days?
You know, I feel like Bregman's got to be done in the next few days. I think that's not a whole lot left for him to really, to really consider. I mean, it depends what the deal is with the Astros. I don't know that the money is still what it was before, whether it's on the table or not. Dana holds his cards close to the. Is it close to the vest or close to the chest? It's close to the
No,
vest.
it's close to the vest, even though he doesn't wear a vest. I've never seen Dana wear a vest.
Not one. But he holds his cards pretty close to the vest as he should. But I think what this does do is this changes Bregman's focus, right? I mean, it's Detroit. The Cubs have upped their offer a little bit from what I understand as far as length. We'll see. I still think he ends up back in Houston, although I don't know that it is anywhere near what maybe he anticipated getting when he started the offseason.
I was at the annual media luncheon. That was on Tuesday, and Dana Brown referred to Alex Bregman as past tense, that we lost him. Here you go. Take a listen.
And so we're trying to build this club not only for 2025, but we're building it for the future and beyond. And so, I know we're going to miss out on Tucker. We're missing out on Bregman because he was a free agent. And, but we felt like we added two big pieces back in that first to five in the order. We lost Tucker and Bregman, but, adding back Paredes and Walker, guys that are going to hit, that early in your lineup, we felt like, we're a good team. I mean, we know that those guys that are leaving, that were good, they were a big part of the winning here, but we also feel good about, the current team, and we feel like we've got every opportunity to win the division again.
Now, also, Dana mentioned after his comments to us and the whole room, we actually had another opportunity to speak with him, and he was asked if he's frustrated by this. He's like, no, I mean, this is on Bregman. It's really up to Alex Bregman.
I mean, Bregman's a free agent. They can decide to do what they want to do, and as long as he's a free agent, we'll just continue to have our internal conversations about him still being available.
Boy, I can't imagine what it's like being asked the same question over and over and over, but that's the business he's in. He's used to it now. The fact that there is this idea that the Cubs are offering a deal that maybe is in the neighborhood of $30 million, it seems as though Bregman is pretty adamant that he wants at least what he got in his final year of his Astros contract. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that he's not satisfied with the AAV. I think he wants to up his AAV, right? And so if the AAV is 28.5, or that's not what it was before. It was 25. So for me, 4 and 120 makes sense if you're the Cubs. I do 3 and 90 from the Astros. I don't know how far I'm going here. I don't know that. I do think for the Astros, he helps them win a World Series, at least get back to it. I think they're a World Series contender with him. I don't know that they are without him. I don't think they're a bad club, but I don't know that they are without him. I think that one bat changes the lineup. I think it clearly hits him in the 2-hole. Where they were 42 and 24 last year. Jason,
I'm not certain they'll put him back in the 2-hole.
Well, they should. Maybe if I'm Alex, I don't know why I'm out because I want to hit second. Maybe that's it too. No one's asked that question yet, but there's something holding him back from signing, and I got to believe that an average an AAV of 26 a year is enough for him. So for the fact that he doesn't want to come back over $2 million a year times 6, which is $12 million, $14 million. With how Jose Altuve wanting to play left field in a no state tax situation, something else up. something else up, and it could very well be that the lineup moving around hurt his numbers, and he wants to know where he's hitting. That's all
But
speculation, by the way, but that could be it.
But I do believe Dana and the Astros have certainly handled this the right way. And I think if you asked every Houston Astros baseball fan, they would agree that you just can't sit here and wait and hope that you're going to get a guy back. They have been very proactive. And right now, they're looking at Isaac Paredes at third, Christian Walker at first. And Alex Bregman is a free agent. And that is not just an accurate description of the situation. I think it's a very telling description of the situation that, hey, we've done what we think we need to do to get where we want to go or potentially get where we want to go. And the rest of it's going to be up to the player. And man, wouldn't it be fascinating to hear or ask Alex what is going through his mind at this point? Hearing those comments, but he also knows it's a business. So,
Alex comes from Alex believes in himself. He's got an agent that believes in the players as well. Which is a labor-oriented agent, as all agents are. This one especially. So, and Alex has a labor background, so he's got. So when it comes to where he thinks his value is and where he thinks the bar is, we don't know what's going on in his head. I know this. I will say this, and I can't believe I didn't say this before now. But man, if I'm Alex Bregman and I can do my best work in the two-spot in the lineup, I want some assurances I'm coming back. I'm hitting two-spot in the lineup. I don't want to come down and be here and know I got to mess around with Yordan Alvarez hitting second, who wants nothing to do with it, no matter what he tells you. I don't want to worry about Paredes or Walker or some weird concoction of what that's going to happen. When the team wins games and I'm the best in that spot and it all kind of comes together, to just kick that out out the window and down the door, no matter what some of the analysts on X like to say, some of these guys, I've seen them kind of poking their head out a little bit, just poking their head out a little bit about this stuff. If I'm Alex, I probably want some assurances, and I'm coming back to Houston. And look, all the financial benefits in Texas are well documented for decades. So, if I'm coming back here, if he's not here, there's a reason for that $12 million. Because I got to believe you lose that $12 million in taxes in Illinois, certainly in Massachusetts, which is nicknamed Taxachusetts, right? So, he's going to lose it up in those places. So the fact that he's not doing it here says something else is probably the problem.
I'm going to ask you now to put in on your baseball executive cap, or having been in some of these rooms, Dana. Oh, you're going to actually get a cap. I appreciate that. Which cap are you putting on? Okay, all right. So now that you actually have a baseball cap on, Dana keeps referring to, we are having internal discussions about Bregman. Our discussions are internal. We're talking internally. What would those discussions possibly be? Hey, can we go up a little bit more on this? Can we go maybe one more year? I mean, is that the kind of thing that is in the middle of these internal discussions in your mind?
So if you're actually having internal discussions in the room, the first thing that happens is if you're wearing a hat, it goes this way. Because you're going to kind of lock in, right? You're going to tuck it down and you're going to kind of lock in and get going. Here's what that means, Jason. The internal discussions that they're having are very similar to what you and I do off camera. We're talking internally about the club or what we think is going to happen or the flow of the league or any number of things. And what that means for the Astros is they're trying to decide if this guy comes back here, if we still sign him. First of all, do we still want him? Is it a distraction? Do we think he's part of the club? Once they answer that question, whatever direction that is, which is still yes, that's still a yes, right? I mean, some of the moves they've made still indicate that the door is still open for him, or haven't made rather. Like a Randall Grichuk going to Arizona instead of coming here. That says they're not spending any money unless it's a certain situation, right? So if that's the case, then the door's still open. All right, where does he hit? Where does he play? How's that come down? How many games a year can we expect? What does that mean about the flow of the clubhouse? How are they going to react to him after Hosey's moved to left field? Right? Because, I mean, you have all those conversations as far as how that's going to affect. And then what's our game plan if he inevitably doesn't come back? Because I promise you, they think it's 50-50, if not less of a chance that he comes back to the Astros now. I think it's more of a chance that he comes back because, and I think Dana's probably taking this angle as well, because you've got his ex coach who he's very close with in Boston. That's the manager now at Cora. You didn't take that deal. You've got former teammates up in Toronto and in Chicago. He hasn't taken those things, and he's got his former manager AJ Hinch in Detroit. And he still hadn't said yes there. So he's got other comfort zones, people he's played with, help bring him up in the game a little bit, kept close relationships. Nothing. That tells me he wants to stay in Houston. He's looking for a longer deal at the AAV that he's not going to get, and he's trying to decide what he wants to do. And I think he's probably hoping, hey man, that 156 and 156, how does 6 and 162 sound? How does 6 and 168 sound? And he's probably trying to get into that range. And I think that's what the chances that he comes back. And so I think they're talking about that. Do we do this? Is it worth this? How do we structure this contract? And so I think that's the internal discussions.
Can I take it one step farther or further? I'm going to take it one step further and say this. My guess is the internal discussions are very similar. If you've been on Facebook or YouTube Shorts and you follow anything NFL related, there's been a lot of little videos about Saquon Barkley and his situation with the Giants and the Eagles, and these conversations that Hard Knocks was taping with Joe Schoen, who is the lead decision maker for the Giants. And they're all sitting around in a room and they're saying, well, geez, if we don't have him, Saquon, what's our identity on offense? Or kind of handicapping the rest of the league. Like, who would be interested in Saquon Barkley? Who has the space for his salary? Who has an opening? What are the other running backs on the market? This guy comes off the market. What does it mean for Saquon's value? I'm guessing, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I'm guessing there are very similar conversations, the internal discussions or conversations. That is what my guess is, what they are sounding like. It is very similar to, well, so-and-so's off the board, and, well, there's another guy, and, well, there's a third baseman, and granted, there haven't been a lot of them, but certainly now with Pete Alonso, well, that means that Bregman's the last guy left. So I'm guessing that the conversations that we've seen from those Hard Knocks cameras inside the Giants meeting room, I'm guessing they are similar in principle to what the Astros are saying internally. Yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think all that's been done, and I think that was the first thing they did. Right?
Okay. You're saying that's not the case anymore.
I think if it is, it's peripheral because you've got everybody else is off the board but him. At this point, everybody's off the board but him. Even Alonso's off the board back to his old club, which again, by the way, lends credibility that Alex Bregman comes off the board to his old club, right? Because Alonso just did it with the Mets.
And when you consider what some of the public statements that the Mets were making about those negotiations, the Astros have been very low-key, I would say, considering what was coming out of the Mets camp and how they were characterizing those negotiations. They were not happy with the way they were going.
Two different medias, though, and people in Houston may not like to hear that, but that's, as far as the media, that's the case. I mean, New York is going to be very aggressive. They're very difficult sometimes to deal with. The media here, with the exception of maybe one dude,
okay,
it's pretty even. I mean, even's probably the right way to say it. I mean, I read a lot of them. I listen to a lot of them. We all do, when we talk to it, obviously we do a different type of analysis here than they do some other places, but I mean, they're all pretty even, factual, even, direct. There's very few overall opinions and editorials. In New York, I mean, the Mets and the Yankees are not afraid to put all that stuff out in public. They're just going to put it out there, and the media is going to go ahead and have their opinions, and the fans have their opinions. It's a powder keg. The Astros fans, as much as they think they can,
what, Jeremy?
Well, as much as some of these guys with these fake avatars, these fictional characters, as much as they think that they're tough, they're not, because them dudes in New York will put that stuff out there. They'll be like, "What? Look at me right here. This is me, and I said it." And so it's a little bit different up there with your fan base, and how you have to handle it. But that said, the Astros and Dana in general, they're not going to go ahead and do that. It's not Jim's style. That's not Dana's style. And I believe that they've taken the right approach with it. Actually, I'm kind of impressed that Dana's had to answer the same question as many times as he has with, Alex Bregman. Yep. Yep. Alex Bregman. That's right. Yep. Alex Bregman. Yeah. I know you're talking about. I've heard of the guy, Alex Bregman. I mean, it's one of those things, and he just keeps doing it. And, but they've handled it well. I still think he ends up here. I wouldn't surprise me if it's 3 years with an opt out after the first two. You know what I mean? Something like that, mutual option.
Well, here's what Mark Feinsand is reporting. He was the one, I believe, who had the initial report. The Mets also offered Alonso a 3-year, $71 million deal, but he chose the 2-year deal, which had a higher first-year value per source. Alonso's deal is similar to the one signed in recent years by fellow Boris clients like Matt Chapman, Blake Snell, Carlos Correa, all of whom got bigger multi-year deals the following year.
Right. That's right. And that's exactly what I think that Alex will do. I think Alex goes for 2 years, 60, which is something I don't think the Astros will blink at, especially with money coming off the books next year. 2 at 60, and then, you got to see what happens after that.
Do you want to go into the farm system a little bit?
For what? I mean, they got some guys in AAA that I think can possibly, mature a little bit and help, and may help their outfield situation depending what they do. I think Bryce Matthews obviously is going to end up out there. You got the Melton kid. That's the name I was searching for.
I know. Jeremy, I'm always there with the name Melton for you.
Yeah, who's the other guy though?
DeCenzo?
Nah, that might be it too. Anyway, they got a couple of guys who are younger, but those two in particular, Cam Smith.
Well, Keith Law from The Athletic, who is still on your advisory board, correct?
My dude, that is my guy.
On The Athletic, here's his overall analysis. First paragraph from the Astros top 20 prospects for 2025. The Astros had no top 100 prospects until they traded Kyle Tucker to the Cubs, adding Chicago's 2024 first-rounder Cam Smith, who, of course, is now Houston's new /1 prospect. It's just not a very good system, with nobody I would comfortably project as more than a fourth starter or a utility infielder / extra outfielder after Smith.
I don't think that's wrong. I think Bryce Matthews still, has some stuff you have to see get done. But I think he can be a second division regular to an everyday guy. I mean, that's probably accurate, but it depends who's playing around. I think when you're looking at Melton, jury's out. The Astros have not.
Melton, his splits are, his right-left splits are.
Despite what Chris Davis would have us believe, the Astros have not drafted well.
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
Who? Chris Gross.
I'm sorry, Chris Gross. Yeah, I only can't get his name right. Like it's like
Hi, Chris. Thanks for listening.
Chris Cross. I don't know. I mean, whoever he is. So, as much as he would have us believe that they've done a good job, they just haven't. They've done better since Dana's been here, and they, Gavin Dickey was key in the Bryce Matthews selection, and Derek Ladner is pretty good. I mean, those guys, they got some good people here now to help out. But
Drew Gilbert was a good pick.
He
kind of fell in their laps, but.
He did, and he's probably a fourth outfielder too, to be honest with you.
Even though you loved him,
I do love Drew, and I'm saying, but if you're playing, is he Doug DeCenzo? I mean, you know what I mean? He's one of those guys that plays, every 3 days out of 5.
Listen, Doug DeCenzo, he had a long career. I mean, granted, it wasn't star, but
that's what I mean. I'm not saying that Drew isn't going to play for a while, but when you're talking about winning a championship, does he help you win a championship? Yeah, he helps you. Does he carry your club? Don't know, right? There's some stuff to be done there. Is he a good player? Yeah. Is he a good makeup kid? Yeah. Does he run from the spotlight? Absolutely not. Like, I love the guy. It's just a matter of being real fair about where he fits. So,
and being healthy for him.
For him, with he's Lenny Dykstra type, runs through the walls, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that go with that. So, best case scenario for Gilbert is he's Lenny Dykstra. Worst case scenario is he's nothing. So, you see where that goes.
Here's another player I wanted to highlight only because you had gotten rave reviews about him. I mean, rave reviews.
Was it Yordan Alvarez?
No, from this year's draft class.
Sorry.
Walker Yannick, the catcher. Now, let's go back and play what you had gotten. What's that?
I I was just thinking about good gravy the other day.
Good gravy, yes. So all right, so there's what someone told you, and then here's what Keith wrote, that scouts who saw him in A-ball were surprised how slow everything looked, both on defense and at the plate. He struck out 30 times in 103 plate appearances in Asheville, an aggressive assignment for a kid from a mid-major program, but also a tremendous place to hit. He had just 4 walks there and a line of 175, 214, 289. He's diabetic, so the question is whether he was showing normal fatigue after a long spring or the effects of the illness. If he can handle the workload at a very physical, demanding position, he has power and the potential for plus defense, which would make him a potential everyday catcher or better. And you're shaking your head? Yeah, that's what you believed as well. But I'm just surprised. But I guess that goes back to the whole thing in scouting. Somebody can see someone on a good day and form an impression, and then someone can see someone on a bad day and form an impression. But the key is you don't want to form an impression over a limited number of looks.
I'm not going to get in. I don't know Yannick's history enough of what he's done to get into his workload in past years. What I will say is your adjustment into your first year is different, especially coming out of college, because your body's not prepared for it. It's just not. You're playing every single day. You're no longer having class. It's a mental adjustment, especially when you're going to a place like Asheville. No offense to the people in Asheville, but it's a little bit different than being in Houston. Okay. And so it's a different spot. Now, when I say that, I mean that with all the niceties in the world and all the benefit of the doubt. Just like Jeremy Pena and guys, when they get to the big leagues, that first year matters, but it kind of doesn't, right? You want to get out there and play and get a feel for it and show that you can adjust the lifestyle, adjust to what's going on. You hit 500, great. You hit 100, also great. You want to make sure that you have some kind of a balance to adjust into it. Now, is it slow? Maybe. Yeah. Was it slower? Sure. But we saw, one guy told me he had a 179 or something in the game, whatever that was, you know what I mean? So it's he's a catch and throw guy that's got some bat to ball skills and has some power. If it comes together, he can be an everyday guy. If it doesn't, he's a backup. That's how it works in that type of skill set. So, is he Chris Iannetta? Maybe. Is he Buster Posey? Probably not. Is he somewhere in the middle? Likely. We'll figure it out.
Good value where they got him.
That's right. I have no
I mean, if he plays 10 years in the major leagues, that's probably a win.
That's a full pension guy.
Based on the previous first rounders that the Astros have had the last 7-8 years.
Yeah, I often wonder how Seth Beer's doing. He was a good pick.
I could look it up.
No, it's okay. Really.
All right, everybody. No time left to look at our comments, but we appreciate everybody checking us out and leaving their questions and comments and blah, blah, blah. So, Jeremy, do you have anything else before we go?
Nope. That's about it.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for Extra Bases. I can tell you right now that Seth Beer is turned 28 in September.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? He turned 28.
Where's he playing?
Here we go. The rabbit hole. Hi, rabbit, meet hole. Last year, he was in Indianapolis and Altoona in the Pirates organization.
It's over.
12 homers, 54 runs driven in between the 2 stops, and an OPS of 785.
It's time to go do something else.
Maybe go to Japan?
I mean, Japan takes big leaguers now, so who knows?
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. For Jeremy, I'm Jason. Till next time, thanks for watching.